Hey, hey, hey! It's Bronze Sword Gamer coming back again, and this week I reckon we'll just put in some farms and other amenities so that we can just expand things and get things going. As I say, my general thing, I don't know if I mentioned in the last episode, is that I want to create a bit of a civilization. I don't think I went into much detail on that but basically I'd like to have a few examples of Bronze Age civilizations from around the world. So that could include sort of, European Bronze Age. You've got sort of the circular huts, thatch roof huts, and then Middle Eastern examples and Asian examples, maybe even some Egyptian examples. That would be quite cool. I am conscious that the log cabin does not really fit with that aesthetic at all. But, this is just a base. It doesn't need to actually be part of the project, so it doesn't really matter what this looks like. I mean, I could make it to be like a whole kind of, space age, modern kind of thing. But, yeah. I do like it, though. I like this design. I won't lie. Anyway, let's get to it. Right, I think the best thing to do is probably just to find ourselves a little patch of ground that's close by, and then we can just set about creating some food. I'm going to do this purposefully out of view because I know it's not going to look fantastic. Yeah, it's a weird thing, actually. I don't know why the decision was made to do it this way, but one of the weird oddities of this game is that you've got... I'm just going to stamp on this to try and get some of the ploughed dirt back to the way it was. One of the weird things is that you can get wood tools and things, but you can't get flint tools, which just seems completely backwards. And indeed cobble tools, which isn't, much less of a thing in most cases. But still. Ours is not to reason why, simply but to do and die. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's funny actually. I had an idea for a YouTube short, which I thought would be quite funny. So I made one. Actually, it's funny. It's the second video I've ever made, or the third video I ever made on YouTube, I guess. Yeah, no, I just it just sort of came to me because I say I've never actually bothered to learn redstone. It's always been mindlessly complicated for no reason, and I often found that a lot of the redstone reminded me tutorials reminded me forcibly of the computer programming tutorials I've taken from time to time. It's sort of a similar kind of vein of incredibly clever people who really, really suck at actually explaining things. So you either have to use the ones where you copy step by step, where you just have some guy just waffling on without actually explaining what he means, and you just and no one really gets anything from it. But yeah, no, it's I thought it was quite funny. Yeah, I found there's a good reason to get rid of trees like this just on the edge of your farms, because apart from creating shade, which invites monsters, there's also the fact that they kind of cover sight lines, so you get easily snuck up on by skeletons primarily, although pillagers also. I say take advantage. The AI is not that smart, but the effect of having taken advantage, I guess. If I keep things kind of on the same level, then I won't be annoyed by it later. There we go. And I just love this trick. I do it with all my doors, all my gates. Just have a pressure point, just because then you don't have to close it behind you. Lovely. On the plus side, I won't be short of fuel for a while. Although I have to say this is quite apropos for what we're doing. At least in Britain, the entire island of Britain was basically one big forest. And then men turned up, and we just sort of started clearing forests. And over time, obviously, that just builds up and builds up until eventually you only have a few patches left. There's actually a common misconception. People think that the king's forest was trees, as we would term it. But actually, the king's forest just sort of means basically the king's kind of land set aside for hunting, which was a really important social activity. It was sort of for the nobility, and it sort of set them apart. One of the things that set them apart from the commoners. But what made it interesting is that it's actually it's sort of an element of statecraft, because it was a period of sort of informality, where the king could sort of rub alongside his nobles and actually going to get to know them. It's sort of like team sports, putting people together, and getting them to work together. But it was really important for sort of building relationships and things. And of course, a lot of sort of, statecraft and things, the informal kind of stuff, the behind closed doors stuff happened on hunts. I remember actually ages ago, it was listening to History of England by David Crowther. It's a podcast series. It's really good. If you're interested in the history of England, then I'd really recommend it. He's a really good podcaster. But I think it was King Rufus who was talking about. He had some archbishop or something, curmudgeonly old bugger, and the archbishop had gotten on Rufus's bad side for one reason or another, which was pretty common, because Rufus just liked to oh wait, what am I doing? I've already got an axe. But I don't have a shovel. He liked to what's the YouTube friendly version? F everything that moved. Some historians, he definitely was bisexual, and I think historians today are sort of coming around to the idea, I believe, that he was just gay, but just full blown, unapologetically gay. And there's actually some argument to say that he may have been an atheist, because he certainly didn't care at all what church figures said. There's lots of sort of, he was, you're damning yourself to whatever, and the rest of it, and he just sort of laughed in their faces and did what he wanted. Yeah, although it is I will say that I'm always a little bit skeptical about some of the accusations about towards certain figures, because if people don't like you, that sort of, in those periods, that's sort of a classic kind of thing to sort of say, fornicated with nuns, had relationships with men, was a cuckold, or lots of sex-based accusations, which is unacceptable at the time. I mean, in a way, it's sort of like in the 50s being labelled a communist is that lots of people who are not communist at all were labelled as communists by their political enemies, because it was a really convenient thing, or indeed various forms of bigotry are sort of laid at the door of people today, which is sometimes justified and sometimes not. It depends on the situation, obviously, but it's very commonly thrown around without much nuance in any case. But it's sort of a really convenient sort of tool, because obviously it puts your opponent on the back foot and forces them into a position where they have to say, no, I'm not this, I'm not that, or the rest of it. But yeah, so we hunting, as I say, it was a really important social activity, and really basically it set the nobility apart, and the king particularly apart from everybody else. There's actually an interesting cooking technique which is referred to in the UK as a thieves' roast, which is actually very similar to the Maori hangi, or Māori hangi, depending on your pronunciation. When I sort of lived in New Zealand for a bit, Maori themselves called themselves Māori, with a soft kind of LD kind of thing in the name. But sort of it looks like Maori when it's written down, and yeah, kind of European people and white New Zealanders say Maori, but the Māori say Māori. So yeah, and the Māori should know, it's their name. But yeah, the Māori have a hangi, which is again very similar to thieves' roast, where you kind of dig a hole, you put a fire in there, you put some big heavy flat rocks in there, and then once it's sort of the major flame has sort of gone out, you put your meat on the heavy rocks and the coals, and then you cover it up with like a lattice of sticks and some earth and things, and let it just slow cook for hours, and it's just bloody gorgeous. If you have an opportunity to have a hangi, I recommend it, because it's just so nice. It's slow cooked deer and slow cooked a lot of things. Slow cooked pork is obviously lovely, but the closest I can really do is doing pork in my slow cooker, which is a lot less poetic. But I mean, I'm not digging up my garden for just to do a hangi. Quite apart from the fact that all the neighbours would be looking over the fence and going, what the bloody hell is he doing? But yeah, no, the History of England podcast is a really good podcast, and yeah, as I say, there was this archbishop or something with King Rufus, who basically was on the outs with Rufus, and so everyone else was ignoring the archbishop or the bishop or whatever it was, because Rufus was. And there, I have a couple with me, and then this archbishop just strolls up to the Rufus and then makes a comment about basically it's a joke which doesn't really translate well, but effectively he made a joke about a bandage that Rufus was applying to a wound of his, and it doesn't translate well, but the meaning behind the joke was effectively taking a pop at Rufus's supposed ancestry, because there was this supposed thing about one of his ancestors being, I think, born out of wedlock or something. I'm not entirely sure, or it was a tanner's daughter or something. I'm not. It might. Oh, actually, I think it might have been with William the Conqueror, actually, where William the Conqueror was son of I forget the lord's name, but the mother was the tanner's daughter, and so when people wanted to rile up William the Conqueror, or William Abastiad, as his official title is, don't demonetize me, YouTube, it's just a historical fact, that was what people called him, they would get these skins from the tanners, and they would thwack them with sticks as they were, you know, like his enemy, William the Conqueror's enemies outside the castle walls when they'd sort of besieging him to mock him. And William the Conqueror responded in a very measured and reserved way, and understood, obviously, the importance of free speech and you know, letting other people have their point of view in the idiom of the time. By which I mean that he strung them up and killed them in very gruesome ways when he got his hands on them. But the hunting with Rufus was as a classic example of basically getting the bad, you know, getting out the bad blood between people and reconnecting and things. Be interesting to know what the hunting rules were in the Bronze Age, although obviously very few records survive of civilizations that had those modes of life. We have you know, records obviously from the Egyptians. I think, you know, Babylonians and whatnot, who were also Bronze Age societies in the main, but obviously they had were agricultural primarily, so that doesn't really help us in this situation. Okay, I believe there was a chicken around here somewhere. So if I do this carefully, he probably is despawned by now, but theoretically there is a chicken. Somewhere there's a chicken. Chicken! Chicky chickens! Come on, chicky chickens. Come to me. Yes. Oh my god, 3 at once. That's incredibly convenient. Right, okay, everybody, come. Guys, please, come on, cooperate. The AI with these things is very strange. I've never fully understood it. Okay. If I just do this carefully. Come on, guys. Come on. Yes. Yes! Perfect. Oh, so good. Okay, great. So I just get rid of that. And then, yeah. Okay. I've got one set of things down, and now I just need to hopefully find, if I can get some carpet, I can just arrange things so I can get in and out without having to bugger around with all of the other malarkey. Okay. I believe that there were some cows on the other side of my cabin, or there were some cows, I should say, and then they probably despawned, but we shall see. There's a cow, there's a cow, there's a cow, there's a cow, yes, yes, everything's coming together, yes. Cow, please, come down, see me. Oh, crap. I find that I periodically have to cycle out of whatever luring item I'm using and then go back to it, because it seems like the AI pays attention to it for a while and then doesn't. Okay. Yes. Okay, great. I think I'm going to have cows be in here. Yeah, that seems like the best idea. Okay, well, there's some pigs. I don't really need pigs, but there are some pigs. Often you'll find sheep with pigs, I have found. Interestingly enough, in the wild, if you leave even domestic pigs and send them back into the wild, then they start gaining a lot of their old traits that still exist, but are sort of kept recessed. Okay, I don't think there are any in this. Oh wait, no. Shush my mouth. Okay, fantastic. Come on, guys. Let me take you to a new home, which will have very little murder, I promise. Asterix. Promises may not include it, may not be true. I seem to have also collected a pig for some reason. The game really wants me to have pigs. But unfortunately, pigs in this game have very little use apart from food. In real life, they're super useful. They're actually, parts of them are actually used in the creation of dynamite, interestingly enough. I'll see if I can find the original diagram, but there was a diagram that was up in my school, actually, which detailed all the products that pigs are part of, that go into. There we are. Perfect. Yes, yes, come in. Perfect. Yes! Right, I just need to find myself a second cow. Sentences Minecraft makes you say. Cow. Yes. Ooh, and some more. If I'm clever about this, I can get multiple cows. Or at least I can have some backups. Wow, even by the standards of Minecraft AI, these guys seem pretty dense. But okay, this is where things get a bit more challenging. Good. So, as you can see here, we've got ourselves a nice little wheat farm going. We've got our cows, we've got our sheep, we've got our chickens. So we'll have feathers, we'll have wool, we'll have leather. Leather for books, obviously. Wool for, well, everything from carpet to having the ingredients necessary to go through to the warden sort of place, the deep dark, and then of course feathers and things can be useful in terms of books and quills and occasionally arrows, although I tend to get that from trading. But yeah, so I'll have these ready to go, which is fantastic. Didn't do pork obviously because pork's just a food source and we already have bread, so we don't need that. But yeah, so I shouldn't need to do anything else for the time being in terms of food and basic resources. And of course it's neatly out of the way and out of sight of our main lodge and things, so I don't need to look at it, because this is, as I say, with all standard farms, they don't tend to look fantastic. But this is just purely functional. Anyway, thanks for coming along, and I'll see you all later. Bye!